What's up, guys? JDS slash Wi-Fi is here. I'm bringing back another epic rap battle. Finally, uh, the audio still kind of cuts out sometimes when I'm doing this. This software, I'm sorry, this software is just not the greatest. But hopefully, in the future, I can find a really good one, a better one. The software I'm still using is WeVideo, and yeah, it's not the greatest. So yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to find a better one. But for now, this is what we're dealing with. But this is John Lennon versus Bill O'Reilly. So I don't really know too much about these guys. So I had to do a bit of research on them. I know like Lennon is part of the Beatles, and O'Reilly's like this guy with I would it's like anger issues or something. But he's also like famous for like the temper that he has and stuff. So we'll see. So this is what we're getting into. If the audio cuts out, I'll try to do something about it or just restart this. But well, I can't really say restart since this will be my initial reaction to it. Considering this is actually my first time reacting to this, so but we'll just wait and see how it goes. So yeah, all right, let's get into it right away. It's a minute and 30 seconds long, so we're just gonna get straight into it now. Ready, set, go.
Epic rap battles of history.
Let me see.
John Lennon versus Bill O'Reilly.
ERB, John Lennon versus Bill O'Reilly.
Hell, you're making my ears bleed. You need a muzzle. Why you pissed off all the time? Didn't your mom give you a cuddle? You're the type of guy who could die of a heart attack just in the shower. You need to chill out for a minute and smoke weed for an hour.
All right. So right off the bat, we got Lennon going after Riley's like anger and his temper, because I think O'Reilly did earn his reputation through his shows of just yelling angrily. So like the O'Reilly factor, and some other stuff. So like behind the scenes, and then that one incident that went viral. It was like him like with the "Will Do It Live" incident is what they call it. Um, so it's like I'm not too sure if that's the case or not. And then also claiming that when Lennon said that stop, you're making help, you're making my ears bleed. You need a muzzle, referring to the yelling that he does and all that, which is a popular exaggeration. Um, and then it was actually a reference. The help is a reference to one of the. It's a track from the Beatles, I think. So, and then it's also a reference to a film. I think is yeah, it was a film that the Beatles started in. So yeah. So right off the bat, and then you're the type of guy who could just die in a heart attack just in the shower. So, and then you need to chill out for a minute and smoke weed for an hour. So the weed is, as we all know, the Beatles. Well, at least Lennon. Lennon has smoked a lot of cannabis throughout his time, and O'Reilly is totally against that. I think, like against the whole smoking and stuff. So it's more like a sarcastic diss, and then you need to. You're the type of guy who could die of a heart attack because of his temper. That Lennon is saying that O'Reilly could just die of a heart attack, even being in the most calmest situation, such as being in the shower or something. Well, it really depends on who's showering, because sometimes you can have panic attacks in the shower. So I don't, but I know there are some people out there that does. But all right, that's it. Let's continue with the bars. Here we go. Ready, set, go.
Time I watch your show, all you do is scream at me, and your face looks like a shit I took high on LSD. I'm John Lennon, I'm a legend, I can see through all your tricks. I wonder how much George Bush paid you to suck his dick. You fucking.
Hey, yo, pause for a second. um, yeah. All right, so so yeah, your face looks like crap I took high on LSD because again, Lennon was a drug. Lennon LSD was a drug Lennon used. Um, especially in his later life, he used it a lot. Um, but just looking at it, looking like O'Reilly's face is just straight up dookie. um, and then John Lennon, I'm a legend. I can see through all your tricks. So like John Legend, him being a legend, you know what I'm saying? Lennon legend, because he did go down as a legend. Um, and then I think it's like the O'Reilly factor. It was criticized for being a political narrative, like a negative political. Oh no, it was trying to push out a political narrative, and then also creating like false news for the media, as for the publicity. And then Lennon says that he's able to see right through that, um, which is like him taking a vacation from the whole thing, and then which he did around Easter, and then apparently that show was canceled, um, 7 years after this ERB is what I'm getting at. While O'Reilly was in fact on vacation, so this bar aged like fine wine here. So I'm just trying to break down every single bar I can. I do have a couple notes pulled up. That's why I'm looking over here. Um, just in case I needed for like information on remembering like what has happened throughout history. So because I don't really know the two guys well. So I do have a couple of notes. So if I'm looking over here, that's why. And yeah, so let's continue. All right, O'Reilly's turn. Lennon. So Lennon's first verse, um, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, very beatable. So let's see how O'Reilly goes. So here we go. Ready, set, go.
Long hair, living in your yellow submarine. We about to get sunk by the right-wing political machine. Stop your presses, Lennon. You call me Mr. Bill O'Reilly. When it comes to squashing limeys, I come recommended highly.
Okay. Okay. So long hair, living in your yellow submarine. So Lennon's hair and pretty much his entire clothing base or something. That it's one of the things he's known for. Um, which could become stereotypical for beatniks. So Lennon's pretty much the face of that. And then O'Reilly references one of his soundtracks called, or one of the Beatles' soundtracks called "The Yellow Submarine," um, which came from the actual film "The Yellow Submarine," I think, um, which referring to, because I remember it's like a certain lyric. Let me take a look at it real quick. Let's see. Lennon, Yellow Submarine. Oh yeah, it's we all live in a yellow submarine, yellow submarine, yellow submarine. So yeah, it's like O'Reilly claiming that he metaphorically sink this submarine using his traditional political views, which is pretty much the opposite as Lennon's. I keep saying Lemon, but it's Lennon. Okay, so yeah, that's referring to, and then stop your presses, Lennon. You call me Mr. Bill O'Reilly. When it comes to squashing limeys, there's no compare. No, I come recommended highly. Um, so it's like I'm not too sure. So it's like stop the. I think it's just like so stop the presses is like a way of Lennon used to like to to talk or like to provide information in his lyrics especially, um, which leads to the George Bush line. And then so yeah, limey is a word used by the Northerns, which the North Americans, which O'Reilly is, um, which is actually a word used by the British people. Lennon, for example, which is not used like the right way, I think. And then he'll squash Lennon. Well, for as an example of Lennon being part of the Beatles, so like the beetle, a beetle, just squashing the beetle. Um, and yeah, I'm really trying to like make sense of all this. All right, I think that's it. So we're just gonna continue. All right, ready, set,
You're
go.
weak. Between you and me, there's no comparison. I'll beat you so bad you weep gently like George Harrison. You're Paul McCartney's bitch with less talent than Ringo. And I'd rather suck George Bush's dick than Yoko Ono's.
Okay. All right. Riley's making a comeback here. Oh Lord. Okay, 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 okay. So yeah, we're here to break down the bars. That's why I have the notes. Because I also want to react to this, but I'm also here to try to break down as many bars as I can. So so yeah, you're weak between you and me. There's no comparison. I'll beat you so bad you'll weep gently like George Harrison. So George Harrison is another member of the Beatles. And then it's referring to the song While My Guitar Gently Weeps. So someone like Lennon sometimes are referred to like as weak due to their beliefs against violence and war. And then O'Reilly's like threatens physical violence toward Lennon, which apparently is like harmful enough to for the latter to cry, which brings to the reference to the song, which was written by George Harrison, which I guess is a diss towards Harrison being sensitive and stuff. So yeah, it's a blow to one of the other members. And then referring to the bar. So yeah, you're McCartney's B word with less talent than Ringo. So this is implying that O'Reilly, and not only O'Reilly too, it was like other people with thinking that Paul McCartney was more important to the band than Lennon. Um, and then it's like the duo themselves were like a prominent songwriting partnership, even outside the band, having spawned a legacy, which hasn't been heard of yet, I think. And there was like a running joke where fans and critics of the Beatles um, alike is that Ringo Starr is another member of the Beatles. They just lack talent. And then it was like it was a joke, and it was secretly like supposedly being as a way to respect Ringo. So it was a way that O'Reilly was dissing Lennon using every member of the Beatles and stuff. And then I'd rather suck George uh, Bush's the Yoko Onos. Yeah. So if, I think this is O'Reilly being a huge supporter for George W. Bush, um, who is someone that Lennon did not support due to their different political views. And then the same will go for uh, Bush's father, George H.W. Bush, which we all know. Well, for those who are well informed in the studies, social studies, and the political stuff, uh, H.W. was criticized for his war on drugs campaign. And he was actually close to O'Reilly, which I believe also led to two personal letters sent to O'Reilly that was made public in 2018. And then, yeah, and then I don't know where. Then Yoko Ono's. I think. Hold on, let me. Yoko Ono. Oh, yeah. Um, so he O'Reilly rather prefers to worship Bush over Yoko Ono, which is Lennon's wife. That's why it hits hard because O'Reilly implies that Lennon's wife looks like a male. And Yoko once said that Lennon himself was like, I love you because you look like a bloke in a drag because you look like a mate. I'm like, okay, interesting. Uh, so, yeah, that diss hits really hard. I don't think it's a slay and pray, no, but that verse hit hard for sure.
Can't buy me love, but I'll kick your ass for free. I'll take Maxwell's silver hammer and give you a lobotomy. I'm tired of how you scheme to stir the people up. Why don't you just take a vacation and shut the fuck up? Cause I'm
All right, something light. Something light. Um. So yeah, so like Lennon, thinking that he'll be able to take down O'Reilly, both physically and mentally. Also making a reference to the "Can't Buy Me Love" and Maxwell's "Silver Hammer" songs. Um, and then yeah, Lennon, before he admitted that he was a violent person, before um, following the path of light, and then he even confessed in a interview. I think it was like a 1980 Playboy interview, I think. And then yeah, he was very violent towards both men and women. Um, And I've said, and then I remember, um, yeah, he even gave out his little speech or something about it, that he does believe in love and peace despite being a violent man, and he has regret ever since about the violence he has done and something like that. And then this is like his other verse. I'm tired of how you scheme to steal the people love. Why don't you just take a vacation and shut the heck up? Which goes back to the other bar about the whole criticizing O'Reilly's shows and stuff. Going back to the O'Reilly factor, and then the Fox News being criticized about this, the whole stuff being like fake and everything, and then just telling him to just shut up, get it, go take another vacation. That's funny. Um, so far, I think O'Reilly is winning, but we'll see how his second verse goes. So, ready, set, go.
Evil, hard blacker than Don Cheadle. $10,000 shoes I used to stomp out a beetle. Don't tell me to shut the fuck up, that's how I survive. Now here's Sting. What? Fuck it, we'll do it live!
Who won? Who's next? You decide. Epic rap battles of history!
Okay, so before we get to the results, let me break down this other bar. Cause I'm evil, hard blacker than Don Cheadle. So this is I don't know if this is racism right here, but O'Reilly's comparing him, the dark, like his heart, like the darkness within it, to the skin color of Don. How do you say his name? Cheadle, which I believe he was mentioned in a controversy. Um, so it was like it was 2019. Um, he was he was under a heat of playing a character whose skin in real life is way darker than Will Smith. I think that's how it went. Let me see real quick. Hold on. So yeah, it was based on the character is based off of a real person who is darker, whose skin is way darker than the actor who was chosen, which was Will Smith. And yeah, it's like it could be racist, but it's not really a far. It's not really that deep. Comparing to the comments O'Reilly made in the past. So it's like, yeah. And then the $10,000 shoes I used to stomp on a beetle. So like basically just stomping out the competition. And John Lennon being a beetle, so like the insects, beetles, just stomp on them. And then there was also a protest called, like, I think it was like the Stamp Out the Beatles protest, where it happened after Lennon's remark, which said, "We're more popular than Jesus." And then they definitely caught the wind, but they made a joke out of it. So I was like, yeah. So yeah, just stomping out the competition, and then Don't tell me to shut the heck up. That's how I survive. Now here's Sting. What? We'll do it live. So yeah, just STFU. That's how I survive. Going back to like the whole criticism of the Fox News and the shows and stuff. That's how he lives. That's what he's doing to survive. And then here's Sting. What? We'll do it live. It's referring to the Inside Edition program, which is a program in the early 1990s, I believe, which was an infamous outtake, which resurfaced on the internet in 2008, which O'Reilly shouts out, F it, we'll do it live. And then he became frustrated by a last minute alteration to the tampon text. There was supposed to be a new song or something by Sting, which was meant to be played over the credits of the show, but the instructions didn't make sense to Bill himself. The teleprompter's instructions, so. And then I think so yeah, the reference to the We'll Do It Live, or like where the outtake happened in the show just before the credits were meant to end, or when they're supposed to begin actually. The line specifically serves as like as the credits for the ERB, as if it was in the show. So yeah, that was a nice reference, but yeah, I try to break down bars, but I had to do research on these guys because these guys are way beyond my time. So yeah, um, hopefully the future ones I can definitely break down without having to like do research and all that. Guy Fawkes versus so this one right here, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to do more research. Dr. Seuss and Shakespeare, on the other hand, I can like bear with. I do know more about these guys, so yeah, we'll see. But until the next one, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry that it took so long to record, but again, we're here to break down the bars and stuff. Who won? I think I have to give it to. This was the very first one, I think, in the ERB's session. And I think if I had to choose. So the bigger punches, I think that's all I have to go by. The bigger punch came from Lennon when he said criticizing about Fox News and the shows, taking a vacation and stuff, the heart attacks in the shower, the temper, the anger. And then O'Reilly's biggest punch was probably the sucking, worshipping George Bush instead of, Oko. I think I'll have to give it as a tiebreaker to O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly's the winner because of the bar. I'd rather worship Bush and not Oko's, because it's actually it hits harder because Lennon confessed to it. Lennon confessed that he Lennon pretty much confessed that Oko looks like more of a male, and yeah, the whole like Oko being looking like a male thing itself. So it's like, I think I'll have to give it to O'Reilly just because of that. So yeah, yeah, I might have to give it to O'Reilly, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, I'm sorry that this video took so long to record. I'm sorry if there's audio issues, but we're trying to do the ERV session hopefully soon. So yeah, until the next one. The next one I believe is I don't remember who, but if we take a look real quick, The next one should be because the Hitler versus Vader was supposed to be the next one, but already did that. The next one's going to be Abraham Lincoln versus Chuck Norris. So I know a bit more about these two, so hopefully we'll see what happens. So until that ERB happens, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Slay and pray. Make sure your Wi-Fi is good to you. This track was from, or this ERB was from 15 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, can't wait to see the next one. So yeah, peace.